Well, good Tuesday morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Inspiration for Today. We're in a very practical section of Colossians chapter 3. I hope you've been with us throughout this whole study of Colossians, but if you're just turning in today, you're going to find it really interesting. This is an interesting passage. Now, we talked about on Monday, Paul has instructions in verses 18 and 19 for wives and husbands. Verse 20, he turns his attention to children and he says, "Children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord." Well, it would please the Lord and it would please you as parents, wouldn't it? But it's not how children were. But I'm not sure any of these instructions are carried out perfectly, but we do the best we can. In fact, the next verse says, "Fathers," or actually some translations say parents, "do not embitter your children, or they will become discouraged." You know, you and I tried to be the best parents we knew how to do. And I think overall, I think we did okay. We wanted to encourage our kids, keep them in a godly path, and help them grow up to be responsible, godly children who became adults. That was our goal if you've been a Christian that long. If not, you did the best you could too, in every way. But then, really, it becomes so interesting because then Paul turns his attention to slaves. I'm going to read this paragraph and then come back and comment on it, okay? Does that work? He says, verse 22, "Slaves, obey your earthly masters in everything, and do it not only when their eye is on you to win favor, but also with sincerity of heart and reverence for the Lord. Because whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for men, since you know that you slaves will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a just reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving." In other words, not your master. You're serving Christ. "Anyone who does wrong will be repaid for his wrong, and there is no favoritism." Chapter 4, verse 1 goes with that same paragraph. "Masters, then, provide your slaves with what is right and fair, because you know that you also have a master in heaven." That's a difficult paragraph for a lot of us because it goes along and it does allow for slavery to exist, and it doesn't condemn it. How is that possible? Because we know that slavery, of course, in our country and throughout the world, even though it exists right now, I just read an estimate, there's something like 25 million estimated people right now in some form of slavery. And that could be anything from sex trafficking to child labor, forced labor, and on it goes. But see, here's the thing. We live in a sinful world, and there are so many sins that the Bible doesn't even address, because Christianity and following Jesus was not a political party or movement. And of course, that's one of the reasons that Jesus was unpopular, because Israel had thought that their Messiah would be political and that he would help them overthrow Rome's dictatorship over them. He wasn't political, and the Bible didn't condemn Rome. No, it can't address everything. But what it does address here is how slaves should be treated. And they should be treated with respect and honor. Why? if they're believers and you're a believer, that you're one in Christ. It doesn't matter your station. And so Paul gives instructions for both the masters and the slaves. And really, a lot of times when I read about what the Bible calls slavery, and then I look at some of the jobs that I had to do because I had to have the money at certain times, I think I had jobs, I know I did, that were worse than if I had been a slave and had a Christian who was my master. Because they would have been treated with respect and honor, and it would be a great relationship. And you know, the companies that treat their employees with respect and honor and do a fair and treat them fairly, just as the Bible asks, those are the places people want to work now. And there are others where you're treated badly. You still get paid, but you're treated badly. That still exists. So what does he say? And so when I read these, in most of my life, I've been closer to the slave than to the master, because I have never really been an employer. I've been an overseer at times, or a director. But I often read these like, so it says, slaves, obey your earthly masters, your bosses, obey them. Whatever they ask you to do, and do it. Not just when your eyes are on you, but you do it as if it was for the Lord, with sincerity, he says, and reverence for the Lord. And you know what? When you're an employee like that, you get raises and promotions, most likely. You work at it with all your heart, as if working for the Lord. Those are great instructions for any of us in whatever job we do. Maybe now our jobs are more as a volunteer. Well, then maybe in the church. Then do it as if it's for the Lord. And you know what? It is for the Lord. It is for the Lord. Going on, it's the Lord Christ, he says, verse 24, that you are serving. Wow. Now, if you're in a role of leadership, you can rate it well with the masters. Provide your slaves or your employees with what you know is right and fair, because you also have a master in heaven. Now, I think it's very significant, and we should note it before this day is over, that although Christianity didn't directly condemn slavery, clearly it was wrong and evil. And so what were the countries that, at least at first, were the ones who outlawed it? They were Christian-based countries, including the United States and Great Britain. And it was anti-slavery movements sprung up always from Christians, born-again people who saw that that's not the way to treat people. And so indirectly, as a result of changed lives, followers of Christ became the leaders in the anti-slavery movements, leading to slavery being outlawed. It's no wonder, is it? Because Christ came to save all, no matter what their level in society or in life. And a lot of times it is, well, Jesus said, I came to save the poor. And he did. The poor are often much more open to the Lord than those who have wealth, because they can see their need. But it's all we're all then one in Christ. Hey, we'll have other good news for you tomorrow. Tune in, and we're almost done with Colossians. Don't miss any now. See you tomorrow.
And I won't worry about tomorrow.